One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Guess what, folks? Guess what, folks? We are live. Yes, we are. September 18th in the year 2023. Live again. Totally live. Absolutely live. Live beyond belief. Live right here and right now. Welcome. Welcome to the program. Ooh, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the big news, the big news. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the program. Welcome, 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 welcome. September 18th, in the year 2023, we are still here. We are still live and alive. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I certainly did. I ran my 5K race, my big athletic event at age 59 and counting, competing with the old men. I never thought I'd be competing against old men. But one day I looked up, and I guess I am an old man. No one seems to realize that when I'm out there running. When I'm out there running past them and they're chasing me, they don't realize that I'm an old man. But I did that race. I think it's important to test yourself physically every once in a while against other humans, whether it's shooting a basketball into a hoop or some other kind of physical, exercise, yoga, whatever. For me, it's a couple of things, but running is definitely one of them. So I ran my big race, 5K. I wanted to go under 30 minutes, but I was relaxed, and I did it in 30 minutes and 58 seconds. So my short-term goal is to shave off those 58 seconds and be under a half hour for 3.1 mile. Right? And the bigger point is that you enjoy yourself, right? Which I did. I'm a little tired right now, but I felt wonderful showing up and doing it, and I think that's important. I think it's today, amazingly, spectacularly, Donald Trump was on Meet the Press, right? Meet the Press. Remember with Chuck Todd, Meet the Press, and before that was Russert. What was his name? I forgot his name. Brian Russert. Anyway, but there is Trump on NBC doing an interview with that I don't know, that woman, one of the commentators over there, the $6 million woman, asking him questions. And in that interview, Trump says a lot of things, but he says clearly that when he regains the presidency, he will pardon the January 6th political prisoners, because that's what they are. A couple of thousand people attended a rally in D.C. on January 6, 2021, if you recall. And they made their way over to the Capitol, and some of them pushed their way in. And totally improv and such. But there are people sitting in jail for 15 years, 16 years, 22 years. The president himself is fending off political prosecution, right? These are political prisoners of a deeply corrupt political system, right? And Trump has vowed to pardon them upon his ascension back to power as president. Now, some people say, well, President Trump could never be president again. It's too rigged against him. I don't know. It depends, really. The rigging is done by the people themselves. The rigging is not it's not something that's solid and carved in stone. It's more gray. For example, the Twitter files. Twitter files And things like the Hunter Biden laptop being suppressed prior to an election qualify as election interference. Right? The FBI, the Twitter files, for example, Elon Musk revealed it to us. Mountains and mountains of circumstantial evidence where the FBI suppressed information. Right here on YouTube, the suppression of voices that descend from the mainstream are silenced. This is a form of, very, very valid circumstantial evidence. There's pieces and pieces and pieces and piles of it. And it adds up to election fraud. And that we know in this country, right? And it goes both ways. Sometimes the left will do it to the right will do it to the left. They're all doing it. But what we're trying to do is get them to stop doing it, right? So we can get a fair election, right? That is the point of it. So Trump, in my opinion, he was on Meet the Press, and he was on fire. He was sharp. He was inspiring. He was clear. He was unapologetic, unafraid. Right? That's who Donald Trump is. And I think that based on that, the American people, if given the chance, will vote for him rather than the half-dead guy, Joe Biden, and his son, who Hunter Biden is now facing criminal gun charges. These are real crimes, right? Guys running around with guns, smoking crack and banging hookers. Right? You're not supposed to do that, I guess. But anyway, so we'll look at this interview. Trump, love him or hate him, he's here. He's not going away. He will be on the ballot in 2024 for the presidency. You get to pick Trump or somebody else. Right? Right? Those are the choices right now. And the left is doing everything they can to smear him. Anybody who's aligned with Trump, anybody who agrees whatsoever with Trump is thrown under the bus. Right? I'm already under the bus. Right? We only got a few hundred people here. I love you guys to death, but I'm of no influence. But certainly guys like Russell Brand is an influence. Right? He was the darling of the left. And somehow the left didn't like him anymore, and they put him on the right. Or said he was on the right when he started to investigate the COVID-19 nonsense, and they're throwing him under the bus. Russell Brand getting thrown under the bus. You heard he's a sexual predator. He was married to Katy Perry, a rock star and a movie star, whatever he was. And now he's an internet personality, and the left has had enough with him. So they go out into the public, and Russell Brand in his prime was banging women left, right, and center. Right? He was promiscuous. He was, it was hedonism. Right? Good-looking guy. He's famous. He's got a lot of money. But now 4 women from the past have come forward to say, yes, he raped me. That's how they get you, right? So now Russell Brand loses his endorsements. He loses his management. He loses his sponsorship, right? Because the left has now accused Russell Brand of sexual promiscuity. Right? That's how they do it. Right? Is it true? Of course not. Of course, did Russell Brand bang a couple of women, in a closet somewhere? Probably. But this is human sexuality. When two people lay down, right, anything goes. Right, anything can happen. Right? And you want to say, well, one coerced the other into it? Not necessarily. Right? Sometimes you're being coerced. The coercer is being coerced. So sexuality, human sexuality, is bizarre. But Russell Brand found himself trapped in that. And so this is the commentator, Meet the Fake Press, over at NBC, grilling Trump. That's my thumbnail for today. And you'll listen to I think it's fascinating the way she questions Trump. She asks a question, and she doesn't like the answer. And then she gives her opinion of what Trump just said and said, now we have to move on to the next discussion. Where the liberal media will ask you a question, And if they don't like your answer, it's not going their way. Like the guy talking in your earpiece says, no, move on. You move on, and you don't allow the person that you just asked the question to answer the fucking question. So that's going on throughout this interview. And I'm sure Trump knew it when he signed up for MSNBC. I don't know why he did it, but he did a great job. He did. It's a big audience, right? And but again, for people who people see Trump as the Antichrist. That's just the way the media has framed it. That's what they listen to Lawrence O'Donnell. They listen to Rachel Maddow. They listen to Chuck Todd. They listen to this woman that I don't even know her fucking name. And they tend to believe what's being said without looking, without digging further into it. So my name is Marcus Conte. Every morning, educational, philosophical, nothing political or politically motivated. There's no political parties here. No left, no right, no middle, no independent, nothing like that. Just simple, educational, philosophical stream coming right from the fucking source. That's what we do here. That's what I do. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. Vinny DiMartini on the wrench. We have wrenches on the left. These are real people, by the way. If you're watching this program and you think I'm just some guy in a bubble, I'm really not. These are real people. Every morning we record live in front of a studio audience. We've got Weesty here. Richard Walton is here. Fear Porn, David Brown. Cass Philly Camden. Weesty is here as well. Clayton Burgese, Mad Cow Mark, Kim Wood, and everybody else, Cass Philly Camden, everybody who is here, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And I have a website, as I said, marcusconte.com. If we're ever lost, you can't find us, don't come here and say, I haven't seen you guys in years. I haven't seen your program in years. Where you been? Well, I've been right here. It's just you. Where have you been? You have been swept into the closet. You have been infiltrated. And anybody who subscribed to my channel years ago and followed this and suddenly got unsubscribed, you got infiltrated. Nothing happened with me. It happened to you. It happened to you. The censorship happened to you. You see how that works? So let's listen to what's Joe Rogan. So here's Russell Brand. Not really a big fan of him. I think he's a little hyped up. But here he is. Joe Rogan and Russell Brand mock the demonization of free thought.
Fundamentally offered. They gave me a good deal and the assurance that we're not going to censor you. Now, obviously, coming from where I come from politically and in terms of my background, even as a person that's been in the public for a while, I know how Rumble's being portrayed. It's being portrayed as a right-wing, far-right place, conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, you and Glenn Greenwald, super far-right.
Yeah, like this married, gay, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist.
Tulsi Gabbard, super right-wing.
Yeah,
like it's nuts.
See how everybody's right-wing. Everybody's on the right.
It's nuts what people call it. It's just anything alternative to the censorship model they'll talk of as right-wing.
Correct. On a previous episode, Rogan mocked those who condemn fitness and general health as right-wing, saying their proposition... I didn't read it fast enough. But that's crazy, right? Did you know that, and I'm seeing that myself, anybody who is natural in their being, in other words, they exercise, they eat right, they don't shoot themselves up with crazy medications like vaccinations and such, are considered today right-wing because you're taking care of yourself. That's dangerous to everybody else because you don't know what you're doing. Think about that for a second. Think about the fact that if you take care of yourself and you eat well and you exercise and you think that people shouldn't censor and that people should have the right to speak and live a free life, that somehow that is a right-wing perspective. And I ask you, what is the alternative to that? What is left? Left is eat garbage, let doctors inject you with anything they feel like it, the newfangled flavor of the month vaccine. What else? What else? The idea that your health is also a category of left or right is fairly ridiculous. Right? So any athlete becomes right wing. You take care of yourself. Oh no. He takes care of himself, but he's on the team, and somebody takes care of the team, so he's left wing. These definitions are bizarre. Right? Anyway, it's a bizarre world we live in. We're living in a crazy world. Here's more of Russell Brand swinging his arms, defending himself. Russell Brand.
Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received two extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped.
I would have to agree that Russell Brand is definitely under attack. They don't like this guy. They don't like Russell, man. They're going after him. Throwing him under the bus. They want to take away his 1.3 million views, his 6.6 million subscribers. This guy's too strong, man. He's British, too. He's over there in Britain. You can't have opinions of these things when we're entering into an election. You got to get rid of this guy. Go find 4 women that says Russell Brand raped them, and there hasn't, on a quick view, there hasn't been any of these women that came forward and actually said any of these things in the past when they actually happened. I don't know anybody who's been raped and then says, hides. Goes into hiding and says, I didn't, or says nothing. That's bizarre. That's a crime, right? You get raped and you go and you tell the police. Right? But none of those people did. And but now all of a sudden, they're coming out of everywhere saying that Russell Brand, oh yes, he raped me.
That I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the...
So now they got him on his heels. They got him talking about the accusations because he has to, because he's the little guy. He's the little private citizen, and the big establishment with all the laws and all the guns and the enforcement is coming after him. You're a rapist. They're going to frame him as a rapist. Then they'll put him in a little cage, a little box for a while. And then he'll slowly realize that, yes, I am a predator. I'm so sorry, Judge. I'm so sorry for the crimes that I've committed. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. I was wrong, and you are right. You'll hear him. And once they get him in a cage, that's what he'll start to sound like.
The newspapers all the time when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play?
Of course there's another agenda at play, Russell. Why you? Why now? It's in the numbers. You have 6.6 million subscribers, and they don't care that they're going to destroy your life. Your life means nothing to these people. Your career is in their way. Your destruction is their gain. You see how it works, Russell? That's how it works. They destroy you, and then they take your fan base. They vilify you and take your fan base. That's how it works, right?
Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like...
Snake points out he looks dirty and smelly. I would agree. If you're going to do a report like this, I agree. My first impression was he looks a little fanatical. He's becoming what they say he is. Bad move.
with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear.
He's got his foot in the trap right now, Russell Brand. You can see how he's ranting about it. His foot is deep in the trap right now, and he's and they know they got him. They got him, and he's going to try to wiggle out of it. And this is all he's going to talk about: the prosecution of me. These 4 women are nothing. I don't even know who they are.
Clear to me, or at least it feels to me like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using...
So Russell Brand is on the ropes. Let's go into into more importantly this morning. How's the market doing? Looks like we're going to open slightly down. Market took a beating on Friday. I think we're going to go up. I think we go up today, to be honest with you. I think after the long down, I think the market continues to crawl up. The big problem right now is the auto union strike. Right, Ford, Chevy. Right, it's good for Tesla and technology. People that don't have unions, but this union dilemma in big auto is causing problems for big auto. They're paying too much. They don't get enough work. So the unions have a stranglehold. Even they're withholding endorsements of Biden. So the auto workers union strike is leaning a little heavy on the market right now. We'll see how that pans out. So Joe, what did Joe Rogan say? Joe Rogan
Against him makes people more convinced that there's corruption that's fighting against him. How are they going to stop him from winning again? They're trying. The problem is it has the opposite effect on his base.
Yes.
It doesn't make people reluctant. It makes people more convinced that there's a conspiracy against him. It makes people more convinced that there's corruption that's fighting against him. How are they going to stop him from winning again? They're trying. The problem is it has the opposite effect.
Well, how are they going to stop him, Joe? They're going to stop him by throwing him in jail, by literally stopping him from campaigning. That's how they're going to stop him. You can't campaign. You're fucking under criminal indictment from our banana republic. God damn it. Get off the TV. Get off the campaign trail. You're not allowed to run because you're a criminal. We said so. All right. Vote for us. That's how they're going to stop him. They'll try to stop him. So, moment of silence. I'm not going to read all the names, but there are, if you're not aware, there are roughly 1,100 people, 1,100 patriotic, protesting attending members of our society who are in part either in jail, awaiting jail, or somehow eluded jail for the time being for their attendance at the January 6th rally. For example, and that's the reality. In my view, in this reporter's view, I could care less what anybody would think of it, but in my view, the people of January 6th are clearly, unequivocally political prisoners of a very corrupt system. They are they were prosecuted for attendance at a political rally that got a little out of hand. And this political rally was not very different than any other political rallies in our history. In fact, this one was slightly less rambunctious, slightly less violent, less corrosive in terms of breaking stuff and burning stuff and breaking shit and crashing. Right? They just showed up, and they moseyed their way into the Capitol, made their point known, and then turned around and went home. There was no war. There was no violent overthrow. There was no insurrection. There was no none of these things. There's no seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government. There was no crimes of that nature committed. There were things like breaking and entering. Whoop-de-doo. Right, that happens at rallies all the time. Pushing over a police barrier, so what? But these are prisoners of a psychological war. Right? Look at all these guys. These are just the A's. Adams. Look at all the Adamses. Alford. Right? And in this pile is Joe Biggs. There's Enrique Torrio. There's our own Mikhail Sly is in there as well. But look at all these guys. Look at all these people. They're all sitting in jail for showing up on January 6th, right? And so here's Trump saying he will pardon them. Let's listen to Trump. I'm not going to play it all, but let's listen to Trump. Fascinating interview. I recommend highly to watch the whole thing. They put it up on MSNBC, NBC.
But it's one of 12, and it's the one charge that doesn't affect Joe Biden.
Well, of course, there's no evidence that the president has any link to his son's business dealings.
What? Wait a second. Did you hear what this woman just said? There is no evidence that Joe Biden had any link to his son's business dealings. Now, that is factually incorrect. There is mountains of circumstantial evidence that shows the opposite. You had Hunter Biden's best friend come on television and tell you that's exactly what was going on. Joe Biden would be called into a phone call during a very important negotiation. And essentially, if you gave Hunter Biden $1 million or $10 million, you would get the favor that you're looking for, right? This is quid pro quo. This is documented. So how does this woman on Meet the Press, NBC, come off to say that there is no evidence that Joe Biden was doing these things?
12, and it's the one charge that doesn't affect.
Joe Biden had he wasn't involved with his son's business dealings. Hunter Biden would never have been in any of these situations if not for his father's political position. Hunter Biden was offered these positions because his father was the sitting vice president. That's why he got the gig. And that's why they gave him money to further their agenda. We're talking about in the Ukraine, oligarchs. Who else, who else did the Bidens take money from and deliver a favor? Probably a lot of them. Right? But how does the woman say there's no evidence of this? It is profound, right?
Joe Biden.
Well, of course, there's no evidence that the president has any link to his son's business dealings.
Yes, there is. Now watch her say, but let's move on.
Let me ask you, though,
Well, I don't
second.
necessarily agree. He called in. He called in all these meetings. He was calling in all the meetings. He was put on speakerphone, and every single day, and
The witness who
literally
testified.
many calls.
Now she's going to talk about the witness that testified who told you that Hunter Biden's best friend, I guess that's who she's talking about, was in the room when all of these things happened, when Joe Biden was called into the conference at an opportune moment, right? But she doesn't see that as evidence at all.
Calls, and what about the fact that he got rid of the prosecutor for $1 billion?
Right. That's a big one, right? Joe Biden got rid of the prosecutor in the case that was looking into his shenanigans. They got rid of the guy in the Ukraine. That's not interference. That's not doing a dirty deal. That needs to be investigated. That's what a president should be doing, and that's precisely what Trump did.
The witness who
You don't
testified.
get rid of this prosecutor. We're not giving you $1 billion to Ukraine. He said that. I mean, there are a lot of things here.
Mr. President, the witness who testified, though, said that he never heard any discussion of business when President Biden.
That's absolutely not true. That is not true. I watched the interview with Hunter Biden's best friend. I can't remember his name right now. She's not using his name at all, so you can't find it. But he said, "Yeah, I was in the room. I heard what was going on. It's quid pro quo. It's you give us money and we give you a favor, and that's the way it worked. That's the Biden brand. So she's lying. Right? She's lying right now."
put on the
Well,
floor.
wait a
But
minute. You saw the prosecutor
talk
thing on
about-
television,
Let's talk about something that makes you look bad, Mr. President.
because I saw it on your network. He said, you don't get rid of this prosecutor, I'm not giving $1 billion.
Correct.
That was looked into as well, and as you know, there was
Oh, come
never
on.
any wrongdoing.
If
But
I-
There was never any wrongdoing. When someone hands you $1 billion for a favor, nothing wrong. There's nothing to see here. It's bizarre, right? It's really, really bizarre, right? Right? We all saw the evidence, but you're not allowed to believe. Don't believe your lying eyes, according to the Meet the Press. But again, Trump set himself up for this one. Trump went in there. I could beat him. I could beat him. All right.
I ever
let's
said
move on.
that. Quid pro quo.
Let's move on to what a second Trump term would
Tell her, why don't you shut your hole and let me finish speaking, right? How about that, right? That would be good. Trump, hold a second. Shut your hole and let me finish my sentence and stop interrupting, little girl.
Sure.
When you launched your campaign in March, you told the crowd, quote, I am your retribution. What does that mean? What does that look like?
So they're trying to, what Trump said, I am your retribution, right? So now that could be biblical, that could be anything. But it means that I am going to stick up for you, right? In her mind, it means insurrection. It means what? You're going to come after us and prosecute us like we're prosecuting you? We're in a very, very tough situation right now where they're criminalizing every action, and it's not theoretical or hypothetical anymore. It's real. They're really locking people up. I just gave you the 1,100 names of people sitting in prison for years for political opinion, right? And she's worried. Well, what do you mean retribution? What are you going to do? Go after the left? Maybe that might be what you have to do. But a good leader like Trump in times of civil war like that will simply pardon everybody and stop the nonsense, right? Yeah, you are what you guys did, what Merrick Garland did prosecuting, regular Americans for showing up at a rally on January 6th is it has to be, Trump has to come out and forgive as the president, pardon the people sitting in jail, and then forgive the people prosecuting. That's just what you have to do. You don't turn around and prosecute them for their civil war against you. You call a truce. Right? And I think that's what Trump did with Hillary Clinton. And when the left had power again, they took that to mean like, oh, you missed your opportunity. You didn't lock up Hillary, so we're going to lock you up. It's very convoluted. Look, what you're seeing is the evidence right in front of you is that commentators like this at Meet the Press are lying to the American people, all their millions of people, 8.6 million people. I meet people all the time that believe this garbage, right? So this is what the criminal looks like. Right? Keep the focus.
I think retribution is talking in terms of I have to protect people. What they're doing to people is so horrible. They're putting people in jail for long periods of time. Firemen, policemen, accountants, even lawyers. They're in prisons for years now and don't even have trials in some cases. And if you look at Antifa and other groups, practically nothing happened to them. They burned down Portland. They burned down Minneapolis. They took over Seattle. I mean, they literally took over a big chunk of the city. People died and nothing happened to them. We have to protect all people.
Weevil Girl says both sides are the same. Both sides are the same. Yeah, they are. They are. It is a. It's sort of like a pendulum, right? It's a pendulum. Without any energy of a pendulum. When you hang something, for example, I think this is a good way to say it. When you hang something upside down, steady, right? It hangs in the middle, but when there's energy, it swings. It could swing side to side, right? And I think politics is forever swinging side to side. Right now, it's left. Right now, it's clearly left. But at some point in our probably near history, certainly if Trump gets reelected, it'll swing right again. So I agree. Both sides are the same.
People.
But when you talk about retribution,
And again, We Will Grow points out, why didn't he pardon Assange? That's a big mystery. I got to agree there. Julian Assange, political prisoner, the voice of free speech, arguably helped Trump over the finish line by exposing the dirty Democrats at the DNC, telling the world that the Russian collusion story was fake and garbage, and that it was really the Democrats rigging the election against first Bernie Sanders and then trying to do it to Donald Trump. Why didn't Trump turn around and pardon Julian Assange? That is a extremely good question.
are you talking about directing your attorney general to try to go after your political enemies?
When I talk about retribution, I'm talking about fairness. We have to treat people fairly. These people on January 6th, some of them never even went into the building, and they're being given sentences of, many years.
Are you going to pardon
And nothing
those
is
people who've been
happening.
convicted?
Well, I'm going to look at them, and
Bang. Are you going to pardon those people?
being given sentences of, many years.
Are you going to pardon
And nothing
those
is
people
happening.
Are you going to pardon those people, Donald Trump? Are you going to pardon them?
been convicted?
Well, I'm going to look at them, and I
course.
certainly might if I think it's appropriate.
Yes.
No, it's a very
There you go. Trump on the record saying that he will pardon the January 6th people, right? So all 1,100 people, who do you think they want to see? Who do you think they're going to vote for? Well, they're all in jail, but who do you think their families and friends and supporters are going to vote for? They're going to vote for this guy. Why? Because they see the corruption, and there he is, Donald Trump, elect me, and the January 6th people are free to go.
very, very sad thing. And they're dividing the country so badly, and it's very dangerous.
Well, Mr. President, we're going to delve into that a little bit later on, but I want to stay on this idea of what you mean by retribution. Are you looking to appoint an attorney general who will prosecute the people you tell them to prosecute?
I'm looking to appoint an attorney general who's going to be tough on crime and fair. Very simple.
And go after your political enemies?
No, I would never do that. But Biden has done that. Look,
She's talking about political enemies, right? Trump is at the table with a political enemy. Meet the press, right? Fascinating times we live in where we talk about political enemies and locking each other up, right? Never seen it before in my life. Never thought that very mundane actions would become criminal like they are now.
Biden, these aren't indictments against me. These are Biden indictments. This isn't God coming down and very fairly said, Joe, you spoke badly about an election. The election was rigged. There's no question about that. There's so much proof on it. Even if you go to the more modern day proof with the, they call it Twitter files, FBI and Twitter, or you take a look at the Amazon stuff or the Google
That's 2 or 3. That's 3 huge examples of interference.
stuff, or you take a look at 2,000 Mules, you take a look at all of the ballot stuffing that's on tape, you take a look at the fact that the legislatures didn't approve a lot of the things that were done in the elections, and they
That's about six or 7 different scenarios where there was election interference that Trump just rattled off. And watch what she says. There's no evidence, Mr. President.
And we could go on forever. But no, I want somebody that's going to be strong, respected, tough, and fair.
Just to go back to a couple of the points you said, the ballot stuffing, that's something that's been debunked.
It hasn't been
As you
debunked.
know,
It hasn't been debunked. It has not been debunked. No judges, no liberal judges would hear the case. That's the
That's
case.
on camera.
but let's,
It's on camera, you idiot.
I do want to keep moving forward.
Yeah,
And
but
of
Chris,
course,
it's on camera. Hundreds and even thousands and thousands of people. You take a look. True the vote. Take a look. It's on camera.
But, Mr. President,
they have
you know
thousands of
Republican
pictures.
officials
But
and
I know,
top
but
law
Kristen, you can't
enforcement
say
officials have
they have
told you that
thousands
that's
of pictures
debunked.
of people. I know you have to say that for your network, but you should.
She keeps repeating the same thing, that everything that Trump is saying has been debunked. How has the Twitter files been debunked, where the FBI interfered in an election? They went after, they stuffed the New York Post reporting with the Hunter Biden laptop that revealed deep quid pro quo and shenanigans in the UK, in the Ukraine, right? how is it? It's insane that you could say that all this has been debunked, which it has not. So you see what Trump is up against. Trump is up against a community of, pathological liars, hitmen, for lack of a better term. This is not media. This is not objective journalism where one guy gets to state his case. This is, come on our show and we're going to try to attack every point you make because we don't fucking like you. We're in the pocket of the other guy.
Shouldn't say it. Because that's the problem.
But, Mr.
The
President,
news
that's the
has
truth,
lost
and you've
such
been told that.
power.
Let's stay on track, though, Mr. President. Let's
but
stay on
No, why don't you shut up and let him speak? You call him in for an interview and then you talk over him, right? I'm gonna interview you, and then when I don't like what you're saying, I'm gonna talk over you because they're paying me $10 million to do it. Where's their implant? I bet the earpiece is on this side where you can't see it. She's listening. She's getting cued what to say and when to move on, certainly.
But you're saying it hasn't. We have thousands of essentially motion pictures of people stuffing the ballot boxes.
But, Mr. President,
Tens of thousands.
they're not stuffing the ballot boxes, and you've been told that by your top law enforcement officials.
You've been told that, she says. You have been told that by your top law enforcement officials. He's the president of the United States. Nobody tells the president. The president listens to his counsel and then makes a decision. That's what leadership looks like, you idiot.
But let's stay on track because we have
These are not acts of crime. These are acts of leadership. You don't know what I guess she doesn't know what leadership is because she's a troll. She works for a bunch of jerk-offs that pay her a lot of money. She lives in the fucking, Upper West Side. She goes to the lesbian bar on the weekend. She's lives a cush life.
We have so much ground to cover.
You have
We
people that went
policy ground
and
to
voted
cover,
in one
Mr.
place,
President.
another place, as many as I understand, 28 different places in one day.
I didn't see much evidence of that, but I hear what he's saying. I think if you looked further, you would see professional voters. I didn't really see that. But the purging, the overt interference using the Twitter files and censoring people using Google and shutting people the fuck up is,
Day with 7, 8, 9 ballots apiece. They can't do anymore because it would look too phony. These were professional people. They were stuffing the ballot boxes. It's there.
Mr.
I mean, it's there
You
to
took
see.
your
A lot of
case
people don't
report,
like looking at
60
it.
different cases all across the country. You lost that, but let's stay on track.
because the United States, the judicial system refuses to accept and or investigate election fraud. They fail to do it. Right? They won't look at it. Right? It's business as usual. No. We cheated. We out-cheated you. We outmaneuvered you, and stop calling it cheating. Right? We're allowed to fucking rig the election against you, and that's all there is to it. Right? And Trump is trying to make a case that maybe we should have elections in this country that are not like that. Maybe it should be paper ballots and one person, one vote, so that the people get to decide who gets to represent them, not the corporations, not the fucked up rules that always go against the people.
We lost
have
because the
so
judges
many-
didn't want to hear them.
Mr. President,
But
we have
if
so
this,
many
if
topics.
this were ever before a court, we would win so easy. There is so
Yep.
much evidence that the election was rigged. And you may not even put the section on your show, and you'll have to decide what you want to do. But people know it was rigged.
This is a great interview. We're only 9 minutes into it. So you see my point. I want to look at the markets and we'll come back to Trump. So we're open. Ding, we're open. And it looks like the, not so bad. The markets are holding. It looks like the Dow is up 15, NASDAQ down 35, S&P down 6. Big news is coming Wednesday when Jerome Powell, Federal Chair Jerome Powell, is going to announce yay or nay. Are we going to jack up the interest rate another 25 basis points, or are we going to leave it steady? Wall Street seems to think that they're going to leave it steady. So, and that number is already priced in, but it does look like the market is opening down. It looks like it's creeping up right now. It looks like we're going to go green today. And again, in the spotlight is the United Auto Workers strike. Could cost U.S. economy $5 billion. Right? I don't know what your opinion is on unions, excuse me, had a freeze. Unions, right? Once upon a time in America, we had a great union movement where people came together, workers, and they demanded, rights at the table, real pay, days off, safe working places, right? And that was the union movement. And somewhere along the line, a lot of those very big unions became very corrupt and started to sink the very companies that they were working for. It costs more to have the union there than the amount of money that they were making. So not all unions are legitimate. And it does seem like the auto workers union is leaning quite heavy right now on the auto workers. So that's a big problem right now. So NVIDIA looks like it's the drag right now on the NASDAQ, down 9. Google up 50 cents, Apple up 2.5 to 177. That's good news. Amazon up 50 cents. Meta, formerly Facebook, looks like it's level at 300. Microsoft down 65 cents. Tesla down 9 this morning. I don't know why. They don't have a union. Elon Musk has no union at the electric car makers. That's also very interesting about the automakers in the United States. Everybody says, well, the automakers will eventually switch over to electric-powered vehicles. And it turns out that they're having a hard time doing that, right? They're losing massive money because they're being forced to do it. It's not like Elon Musk is profiting from it. The major automakers in America, Ford, Chevy, right, and others, are being forced to convert to electric-powered vehicles, and that's not what they do. So they're getting hit through regulation pretty bad with this administration. So if you want, auto companies to increase in value, you would certainly vote this administration out. You would go in the direction of Trump. Rivian down 62 cents. What else? Military-industrial complex. Lockheed Martin is up $4 today. Raytheon up 13 cents. Boeing down $1.50. On the holiest of holy stocks, the vaccines, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, all red this morning. Moderna down a whopping $6.84, down 6%. 5.83%, down $6 to 103. Moderna getting crushed. They need that vaccine, man. They need it. Not only do they need the vaccine, but they need an administration to push it on you. That's how they make the money. Just making the vaccine is of no consequence because no one will even know it's there. It's the administration that stuffs it down your throat or literally stuffs it into your arm or in your ass, wherever you decide to allow them to shoot that shit into you. So they're down right now because they don't have a leader that wants to shoot you up with shit. It's a crude way of talking about the market. Let's talk about Trump. So overall, yeah, it looks like the markets are going to pop. They're popping a little. See how they reversed. First the Dow was up. Now the Dow's down a little. NASDAQ is up a little. It was down a little. It looks like, it looks like we're balancing out right now. It looks like we go a little higher, in my opinion. Let's listen to Trump.
Look, the media, when I first got involved in politics...
As you know, there's no evidence of that.
There's mountains of evidence of that, you fucking moron.
Tremendous evidence.
Tremendous evidence. And Trump is right. Tremendous, not necessarily direct evidence, but mountains and mountains of what's called circumstantial evidence. Pieces and pieces and pieces of circumstantial evidence that amount to, in a court of law, real evidence. Circumstantial pieces of evidence is evidence. It's not, you don't always need one piece of direct evidence. In this case, you have direct evidence as well. Certainly direct evidence is the FBI interfering in an election. That's direct evidence.
I want to talk about what a
Listen, let me ask you this.
Mr.
You agree
President,
there was Twitter files, right?
Mr.
Do you agree that the Twitter files revealed anything, you idiot? Are you listening? Can you even hear it?
President,
You agree there were 51 intelligence agents that lied. You agree with
I'm
that?
not the one who's being interviewed. Let's
No, why don't you answer the question, right? Well, you're
stay on track
know,
because
but
I want to talk about
that's rigging the
policy,
election.
because that's what voters want to hear about, Mr. President. Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill
Go ahead.
right now.
Go
Speaker
ahead.
McCarthy
Yeah, please.
announced that he was launching an impeachment inquiry this week into President Biden. Do you see this as a part of the retribution that you see?
No, not
retribution. Right?
at all. I think, look, you look at the terrible things that have been happening with respect to Biden. Look at everything. Jamie Comer, Jim.
I think that I'm not going to litigate this anymore. I think as you go through it, you see Trump making the case for an America that could be great again, that could be censorship free, that could have free and fair elections, that could go back to a kind of an old fashioned Wild West capitalism. And that has its pitfalls as well. That's not the perfect system. But the system of socializing words, where you're not allowed to act a certain way, or you're not allowed to say a certain thing, or you're not allowed to show up at a certain rally, risking 15, 20 years in prison, federal prison. This is what needs to change. I don't see the right locking up the left and putting people in jail for 15 and 20 years. I see the left in power right now doing it to the whatever right. The people who showed up at a rally on January 6th, for example. So anyway, that's all I got today. Thank you all for joining me. Whether we agree or disagree isn't really the point. I think it's becoming clear that this notion of a banana republic in America is very, very real. I'm trying to get some sound here. There we go. I don't know, folks. Who knows where it all leads? 2024, there will be an election. And they'll probably, back in the day, we used to have an election, and that night we would all gather around the television and see who won the election. But now we don't have that anymore. Now you'll have to wait 2 weeks until we count the recount and recount the recounted recount. And then manipulate the public consciousness to allow for us to cheat. Paper ballots, 1 day voting, day off for everybody. Everybody shows up, votes. So we're going to see that, and who knows who wins? Do the people win? Do the people ever get their democracy back? Do we ever get a free and fair democracy back, or is it over? Is the American experiment over? It definitely swings. The pendulum definitely swings left and right. There's no doubt about it. But I haven't seen this sort of aggressive swing to the left in a very, very long time. At least not in my lifetime. So thank you all for joining me. Marcus Conte reporting.